Hello, Marissa.
Hello again. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
you for coming back.
Yes.
Or if you're only watching the real estate moment, then I guess let's get into this because we don't want to make it too long. But it is summer, and since we touched on sellers last week, what are we going to talk about today?
Buyers. Buying. Correct?
Correct.
So, what do you think about buyers? What tips do you have for buyers that are looking for a home?
So I think being a buyer in this market, you're in a very good place. Let's start there. I think unfortunately for a lot of the sellers, we are certainly in a buyer's market. Even though they tell you there's a lot of shortage, it's just going to depend on where you live and what kind of home you're looking for. If you're looking for any home over, $650,000, there's not going to be as many homes up for sale. But the reality, at least in a hyper local way, our communities, our areas in the Central Texas, Austin, Georgetown, Belton, Temple area, we have a ton of inventory. Like a ton of inventory for buyers, which is not great for sellers because there's a lot of options. And also for builders, like it could be a little bit hurtful for you guys.
Oh, for sure. I feel like in the 6 years I've been doing this, that there's more new build inventory sitting plus resale sitting, that it's like buyers have so many choices right now that like it is a buyer's market. However, it's not completely a buyer's market to where you can make all these demands.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you do have some wiggle room, and then you just have so many choices. So what advice do you have for people that maybe you're out taking them to X amount of homes, like maybe to give buyers some like pointers on how to narrow their search before they even go out looking, so you're not out wasting your time and everyone else's time?
That's true. That's a good point. So I think probably from a real estate professional, what I would say is for a buyer is know where you want to live.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest, most important aspect. There's so many things to take into consideration that a lot of buyers do not even consider until they move into a house, and then they're stuck. They're stuck there for whatever X amount of time that they have to stay until their house increases in equity and they can sell and move. So there's a couple of things to take into consideration when you're thinking about buying. And one, what community do you want to live in? That goes based on the school system. It goes based with your lifestyle. Are you a really active person where you want to be by the lake or you want to be by the city? Do you enjoy having jogging trails or walking trails, or do you need a pool? All of those things are so super important that you have to know really where you want to be. Now, if you're brand new to the area, you still know what your desires are. You don't have to know the neighborhood in order to know where you want the kind of lifestyle that you want. If you're looking for a specific school system, that's one thing. But if you're brand new, you're probably not even going to know what the best school systems are. So if you are brand new to the area, ask your realtor, one, for the school grading system. I'm going to tell you, it's not super accurate. They're graded between students that are the best students to the students that are the worst, and most of them land somewhere in the middle. There's no, unless you're going to a private school, it's really hard to find that one school that you think really is an outstanding school based on the grading system. One child that has a 20 percentile grade is going to knock everybody off that is in a 90 percentile grade. The lifestyle is a really, really big one. There's some people that want to live by the city. There's some people that want to be rural. If you're older or if you have medical needs and that's something that's important to you, you need to consider that. That is probably 100% one of the most important aspects. My in-laws are considering moving here. The hospitals, their cardiologists, their neurologists, all of those things are probably at the very top of their list of where to live. It needs to be accessible, and it needs to be somewhere that they can go without having to go in through, let's say, like the most busiest part of town, and if it is where it needs to be, take that into account if that is your need. If your kids are in daycare, is there a good daycare nearby? I mean, we just talked about daycare, so Don't base your home necessarily around that unless you know you're only going to be here for a year or two. You're
Right.
probably not going to be in the daycare system for more than a couple of years.
Yeah.
So know that. That is probably
Yep.
tip number one.
Yep. I think too, sometimes it's like you move somewhere and then you're driving 15 minutes to the grocery store or to go grab something to eat. There's no choices around you. And,
Yeah.
you know, yeah,
Is that
depending
important
on
on
your lifestyle.
you?
It is to me because
Yeah.
I like to eat and I want
I love to eat. So
I want choices.
absolutely.
I don't want just one.
Before I lived in an area where we were 5 minutes away from everything, I thought that was the dumbest reason to buy a house.
Oh.
Because I was used to driving 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes to go somewhere. But then I moved somewhere where all the restaurants were 5 minutes, and now it is so important. Where we live now, it's like, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
There's a plaza, there's a spa, there's some like
H-E-B.
H-E-B, like 5 minutes from my house, and it's incredible. Again, before I had that, and if you've never had that, and that's not something that is important to you, it's not a big deal. But if you've experienced that, ask.
Yep.
Because necessarily a realtor is not going to think that's probably priority, honestly.
Well,
I never thought it was.
And maybe it isn't, but I came from a city where everything was right there, and so moving here, I'm like, oh my gosh, it takes me forever to get anywhere.
And
You
that's
know,
what
I
I'm
don't have
saying.
anything near me, like,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I don't know that that would like completely steer me, but some people it is important, and I think it is
Absolutely.
a treat to be in the center of like I can get here and there, and it's convenient for busy lives.
Absolutely.
Saves a lot of time.
So as a working mom, definitely look for a place.
Yeah.
You know, and that is the reality, is that probably a lot of the high earners or double income households want to live in a place like that is centrally located, because it does make their life a little
Yeah.
bit more convenient. Again,
sure.
I thought that was not a smart thing to do, but I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Once I was a part of that, now that I am a part of that group, it is an important aspect to me. A third one I would say is know what you want in your house, right? Don't compromise right away. And when I mean don't compromise, if you want a bathtub, get a bathtub with your house. If that is an important ritual or process you go through every day, get the bathtub.
Yeah, and keep in mind, you're not. I always tell people get a wants and a needs list together, like your non-negotiables, because unless you have an endless budget, you're never going to find every single thing on your list.
Absolutely.
So, what are the most important? Is it a bathtub? Is it your yard? Is it your family room, the kitchen?
Yeah.
Like, definitely have non-negotiables, but be flexible, because
Absolutely.
it's going to be, buying a home is so hard. You
It
know,
is.
it is a huge investment. It's a huge life change. And you don't want to compromise and then hate your
Right.
home, but however, you've got to be realistic.
Yeah, and keep your price point in mind with all that stuff. You know, and it's funny because I've sold homes that are $150,000, and I've sold homes at $1 million. And the thing is, as your budget increases, so does your needs and desires.
Yeah.
And the list just gets longer. So you think
Yeah.
that because you have $1 million to spend, that your budget is going to start decreasing, or not, I'm sorry, because your budget has gotten larger, that you're going to find everything you're looking for in one, but that's not either a reality either. So like you said, make a list of the things that you must have, but be mindful that you may have to make a change on your own, especially when you get to these higher price points.
Yeah.
Because it's no longer about need. It's not that you need 3 bedrooms, 2 bath. It's that you want 5 bedrooms, a study, and a formal dining room. You want a pool, or you want, custom blinds. And a house probably won't have all of that. So keeping your budget and that
Yeah.
in mind. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, if you're buying a $150,000 home, you need to keep in mind that you're probably already buying at the top of your budget. I have never, not never, but rarely do I see couples or anyone buy a home where it's lower than what they can afford, especially at 150,000. People are trying to do the best they can for their
Right.
family. So they're spending at the top of their budget. And what that means is that when you get that first mortgage, that's where most of your money is going to go. So the idea that once you buy this house, you're going to remodel it, or you're going to fix a roof, or you're going to fix the plumbing, or you're going to fix electrical, that usually goes out the window. Because right now you're thinking, I don't have a house, I'll have a payment, and I can do this on the side.
Yeah.
But when reality sets in and you have a payment you didn't have before, it's really hard to get to all those repairs. And the reality is that most people never get, so buy as much as you can afford, but also buy what is livable and that you're not thinking about doing a remodel right away.
Right. Yeah, unless you are like buying a flip or something like that,
And that's a
But if
totally
it is
different
your home,
situation. Yeah.
yes, indeed. Don't buy over your head. There's nothing worse than being married to your home and now all the fun stuff's out the window. Now you've got stress. You want it to be a happy, exciting venture and like
Absolutely.
to keep, your family safe and things like that and not be strapped to the house.
And I think my last tip for myself, I would say, love the place you're buying. Like, feel like if you need to feel that excitement about coming home every day after work, because this is a place this is your sanctuary, this is your safety place, this is your peace, this is where you're going to recenter. And if you're not excited about coming home every day, that's not the place for you. I tell people that all the time. If you can't see yourself excited about coming home to the one place that should be your space, that's not the right place.
Yeah. I think so too. And I think that homes speak to you. Like when you walk in a home, you get a certain feeling of like, I can start visualizing my kids eating here at the table or my dog out in the backyard or things like that. And if you walk in and it feels cold and like, listen to your gut.
Yeah. And that is why sellers, you want to stage your house even a little bit to make it feel more like home. Give buyers an opportunity to envision themselves in that, even if it's as simple as stools on the, island counter. That makes a difference.
Yeah.
So if you guys have any questions, we are always here for you guys. And feel free to reach out to us. You guys have all of our information. And we'll see you again
Next week.
And
we will have a guest next week.
Do you know what? Yeah. That was our last gift was incredible.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
I loved her. Did you guys have any questions for Mary Sue?
Well, I can tell you that I've gotten a few calls about Miss Mary Sue and all of her extensive knowledge. So actually, you may want to say we were considering having her as a regular.
Be back.
Yeah, be back.
Well, probably a lot of our guests are going to be amazing, and so they will
I'm super
probably,
excited.
everybody has so much knowledge to share. But yes, we will have a guest next week. She is a real estate professional, plus she owns some gyms, a winery, a farm. She has a lot to talk about.
Well, and the best part of us having guests is that in our website, you guys are going to find every single one of their bios. You guys are going to be able to see their business, their experience level, and where they come from. So if you guys have any questions, go see them at their business. If you have questions, Ms. Mary Sue is now retired, so they don't own the daycares anymore. But you can't take away 60 years worth of knowledge.
For sure.
And she's so eager to share that. So we are going to be bringing information and tips on child development throughout our podcast. So if you have a question for her, that is kind of going to go through us, that way we're not overwhelming her. She's supposed to be retired, but she is going to be back.
Yep. Well, we'll see you next week.
See you guys next week.